Hello there, friends, and welcome back to Elaborations with Skellington Grin. I'm Ava, your Gothic Witch Big Sis, here to hold space for big conversations, spiritual explorations, and the occasional reality check wrapped in a sprinkle of magic. I am so excited to be sharing this episode with you today because we are diving into something near and dear to my heart. And it is honestly still one of the things that people ask me the most about. And that is tarot. Now, if you are new here, I have mentioned before that I am a tarot reader. But what many of you may not know, even those of you who have been following this podcast for a while, is that I have been a professional tarot reader for the past 5 years. But there are still so many misconceptions about tarot, and there are still so many things to learn about tarot and how the tarot can help us to understand ourselves. So, in this Tarot 101 breakdown, we're going to be talking about what tarot is and isn't. I'll be sharing a little bit of my personal story of how I got into reading tarot, and we'll even be doing a live tarot card pull on the mic, which is something that I have never done before, but something that I really want to share with all of you so that we can get a little bit of the collective energy and move forward with a little reading for us for this next month going into the month of October. I also want to give a little disclaimer about this month because on Saturday, for our first bonus episode of October at 11:11 a.m., we will be doing a deep dive into the major arcana of the tarot. So if you would like to learn a little bit more about tarot and do a little bit more of a deep dive, I encourage you to tune into Saturday's episode at 11:11 a.m. CST and go on a little journey with me with the major arcana. But before we go any further into today's episode, I want to say that tarot isn't just about predicting your future. Instead, it's not even about predicting the future at all. It is about understanding your present and how your present could influence your immediate future. Think of tarot as a mirror with 78 different reflections based on the 78 cards that are included in a traditional tarot deck. Once you learn how to look into that mirror and see those reflections, you will learn how to see yourself, your patterns, and your possibilities in a way that is both mystical and deeply practical. So, I invite you to grab your favorite journal and your favorite writing utensil, whether that is a pen, a number 2, or even a quill if you want to get a little extra fancy. And let's dive right into today's episode. So, first things first, let us clear up what tarot is not. We have all seen it depicted many times in media that tarot is this fortune telling with a crystal ball and a deck of cards, and the person who is reading your fortune is going to tell you something like you're doomed to die on a Thursday, or you're meant to become star-crossed lovers with somebody and switch your luck. If you've ever seen the movie Just My Luck, you know what I'm talking about. And we have also maybe heard that tarot is this rigid set of rules where one card indefinitely means the same thing in every context. And I want to go ahead and debunk that. We're going to go a little bit deeper into why in a few minutes, but we're going to go ahead and debunk that. What tarot is a language of archetypes and symbols. Like I said, it is a deck of 78 cards, and each card carries an image that allows us to tap into our unconscious or subconscious truths. And tarot itself is a conversation in reflection and storytelling. And It is also not something that is spooky or evil, that is just done around spooky season and then people pack away their cards and don't touch them for the rest of the year. True tarot readers are doing this year round. And the only thing that is truly spooky, for lack of a better way of saying it, I know I've said spooky several times in the past couple of seconds, but the only thing that is really spooky about tarot is how accurate it can actually be sometimes. I have had several clients over the past 5 years tell me in the middle of a reading and even months later how accurate it was for them. And they have stopped me and they've even said, "Oh my goodness, how are you picking up on all of this stuff?" And if they're coming back to me months later, they're like, "Oh my goodness, all of these things that you told me about in that reading that you did for me months ago, yeah, they're happening right now. Can we do another check-in? Because holy heck, this feels really surreal." And of course, I'm always happy to do check-ins with people. Because for me, tarot is essentially like sitting down with your inner self, your spirit guides, and your intuition and asking the question, what do I need to know right now? And when I'm doing a tarot reading for a client, I will often ask them if they want to invite their own spirit guides and their own spirit team into the conversation. But I do use my intuition to connect with their energy and ask the same question. What does my client need to know right now about their current circumstances and how their mindset, their actions, everything is going to lead them into the next few months? Now, let me tell you how I actually got here to become a tarot reader. I grew up always being into witchcraft and different forms of spirituality. As a little girl, I would watch Hocus Pocus, Halloween Town, Twitches, and all of those different things on Disney Channel. And I also grew up watching, of course, the Harry Potter series. And I think I was between the ages of 7 to 10 when I first watched the movie Practical Magic with my mom. My mom is a big Alice Hoffman fan, and she is also a really big fan of the film. And of course, why wouldn't she be? It's the iconic Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock and Diane Wiest and oh my goodness, what's her name? What's her name? What's her name? Why am I blanking on her name? Stalker Channing. Thank you. And it's this amazing movie. I really do feel that it's still one of my favorite movies to this day. Okay. But I grew up watching all of these different things and being influenced by the magic of all of it. And later on in life, I was watching things like Charmed. And even in junior high and high school, I would unapologetically dress up in gothic and witchy attire. And there was even a point where in high school, me and my high school boyfriend had matching pentacle necklaces that we got from Spencer's that we would wear underneath our t-shirts, underneath our uniforms in high school. And even when people didn't understand us, and even when people didn't understand me, even to this day when people don't understand me, I'm still wearing my witchy stuff, I'm still wearing my goth stuff, and I still have like crystals and pentacles on a necklace. But it wasn't until my very early 20s that tarot itself really entered my world. I was given a beginner deck by one of my best friends, who is still one of my best friends to this day. Shout out to my girl, Erica. And I also wound up buying my first official deck when I was about 20 years old. I was with an ex-boyfriend, and we were in New Orleans about to go see a Seether show that unfortunately wound up getting rained out. Bad weather, am I right? But we stopped off at this one shop down in New Orleans that is really popular still to this day, and it is Marie Laveau's House of Voodoo. It has changed locations since then, because the original location, I think, had a fire break out, and they moved from, I think, Bourbon Street to Decatur. So, yeah, I can tell you the whole thing. But now they are still a shop that sells different supplies for doing magic and voodoo work. Whether you are a voodoo practitioner and you're looking to get a couple of candles and oils and incense and even getting a couple of voodoo dolls, or you are a simpler witch who is not allowed to practice voodoo because we do not culturally appropriate anything up in here, but you're still looking maybe for some candles, some oils, and you're looking for tarot decks. They sell tarot decks there. And I was attracted to this steampunk themed tarot deck when I was in my early 20s. It was exactly my vibe at the time. And even though I'm still into steampunk stuff, I'm not as into it now. So I wound up giving this deck away. Oh my goodness, when did I give it away? It was spring of 2019. I gave it to my best friend from college, who I consider to be like a family member. I call him my brother Quentin. He's very into steampunk stuff, and I wound up giving him the deck, even though he doesn't really intend to read tarot. It's still something that I'm just like, hey, take this because it's saying it belongs to you now. But since buying that deck and having that deck, I have bought and sold several others and even experimented with oracle cards. And now, sure as I'm sitting here, I have a handful of trusted decks, including an Alice in Wonderland themed tarot deck based off of the Disney film, and a Nightmare Before Christmas and Halloween deck that I bring out during spooky season. I also have a Deviant Moon tarot deck and a Tarot of Sexual Magic deck that I only use for spicy readings. But like any deck, each one holds its own energy and has its own personality. Almost like having different friends that you can call on for different types of advice. And some are meant to be used regularly, and some are meant to be used only for a season and then they go back into the vault. But I also want to bust a little myth while we're here. Even though I was gifted my first deck, you do not have to be gifted your first tarot deck. It is one of the most popular tarot myths out there, but if that were true, so many people would not even get started with reading tarot. So I want to go on record to say that if a deck calls to you, buy it. And I know I'm not the first person to say that, but if a deck calls to you, buy it. I don't care if you're in the middle of a Barnes and Noble. I don't care if you're shopping online. If it calls to you and you got the money to get it, buy it. Simple as that. So let's move forward and break down the structure of a tarot deck so that you're not lost when you pick one up. As I mentioned before, each tarot deck has 78 cards in total. 22 of those cards are the major arcana. They are numbered 1 through 21, and they even have an unnumbered card, which is the Fool. And the major arcana ends with the World card. These are considered the big story cards, the milestones in your journey. And the major arcana is often considered the fool's journey because you, the fool, are venturing into the unknown when you get a tarot reading. But don't get it twisted now. Being the fool does not mean that you are naive or that you are dumb. It means that you are stepping into a new phase of your life with optimism and high spirits, ready for your next adventure. If you've ever seen the Lord of the Rings films, and especially the Hobbit films, you're going to get this reference. Think of the fool like Bilbo Baggins shouting, "I'm going on an adventure." That is exactly the vibe of the major arcana. And the rest of the deck, or the minor arcana, is made up of 56 cards that deal with every day. They are split into 4 suits, kind of like traditional playing cards, but instead of being clubs, diamonds, aces, and actually clubs, diamonds, hearts, and what's the other one? Oh my goodness, why am I blanking? Anyway, you get the idea. Instead of it being clubs, diamonds, hearts, and spades. Thank you. Um, um, it is the elements, and it is cups, which connects to water and emotions, pentacles, which connect to earth and material and physical objects, swords, which connects to the element of air and deals with the mind and ideas, and wands that deals with fire, passion, and creativity. So when we are looking at the tarot deck, the major arcana shows us the big archetypal themes of our lives, while the minor zooms in on the daily experiences and lessons. Both are important individually, but together they create the full map of the soul. So, maybe you're listening to this and you're wanting to start reading tarot yourself. And you're thinking, okay, I want to try this, but this feels so overwhelming, Ava. So here's how I recommend beginners start. First, I want to say that although it isn't completely necessary, you're probably going to want to do this. Keep a tarot journal. Whenever you pull a card or 3 cards or 5 cards for yourself, note the meaning of the card and what it means to you. And then think on what ended up happening over a day, a week, a month, or even a year. Yes, I did just make a Friends reference. So that you can kind of get a feel for what that card is going to mean to you. And over time, you're going to use this journal to build your own personal tarot dictionary. How many cards should you pull? I would recommend starting with at least 1 card a day. Bare minimum, just a quick shuffle and a draw, and ask, what is the energy that is showing up for me today? Write about that card, meditate on it, or simply keep it in the back of your mind. But I do want to stress this point. Don't stress, no pun intended, about perfection. The card that you pull will mean different things in different contexts. And that is the beauty of it. Tarot is not a rigid set of rules. It is a living, breathing conversation, and it is meant to be taken as a story that helps you understand what is currently happening, not something that is set in stone. And that is the most important piece that I want you to take away from this. Tarot is not a be-all, end-all verdict. The cards aren't there to boss you around. They don't tell you what you must do or what will happen indefinitely. Instead, they invite reflection and curiosity, and they give you another angle and perspective on what you're already living through. So, when you're moving forward and you're wondering how to treat the tarot cards, treat them like you would a wise friend, not a drill sergeant that's shouting at you, a 10, hut, left, right, left. No, it is not like that at all. Now, before we close, I want to do something that I always love doing, which is pulling a card or 2 or 3, whatever my deck decides it wants to do today, for the collective. So, I don't know if you'll be able to hear this through the mic, but I am going to do a quick bridge shuffle of the cards. And then I like to do what is called a jumping shuffle. And what that is that I essentially take my deck and I allow, after doing a bridge shuffle to kind of get the deck situated, I allow whatever cards are going to show up to jump out at me. And I go from there to get the overall vibe of what is the message that we need right now. And I'm sorry if I am shuffling a little bit loudly. My cards are a little bit loud today, but I am using my Alice in Wonderland deck. Like I said, I use it almost every day. It is my favorite because I am a big Alice in Wonderland fan. So let's do a little pull for the collective on what we need to know going into the month of October, going into this new week, and really getting a feel for what that is. So we've got one card. Let's see if we might get maybe two more. All right. So what do we have here? We have the Four of Swords, or Spears as it is in this deck, the Page of Spears, and the Two of Flowers, or the Two of Wands. So, as we said, the spears, or swords, are going to deal with air and communication and your mindset. And flowers, or wands, is going to deal with passion, creativity, different things of that nature. Okay? So, with this energy that we're having right now, with this little reading that we're going to do right now, with the Four of Swords, the Page of Swords, and the Two of Wands, it may be time to change your mindset a little bit. Maybe you're looking at everything in your life right now as this, I've really got to get a handle on everything. And I've got to learn how to really juggle everything and balance everything. You're being asked to communicate the truth here. And the truth is, you're not always going to be able to balance absolutely everything. You're not always going to know exactly what to do in every situation. You're not always going to have everything perfect. So if you're striving for perfectionism, what you need to do instead is look at yourself and be a little critically honest with yourself and say, what am I good at? What am I most passionate about? What can I do to be able to support those passions without burning myself out? And how can I, especially looking at the Page of Swords energy, the page is kind of like the Fool. That's how I tend to explain a page card. A page is going to be that curiosity, that new energy, that moving forward into the unknown, kind of really going on a new journey energy. So the Page of Swords is going to be looking to change their mindset, looking to change their habits, looking to update what's currently going on in their life so that they can change their circumstances from the inside out, not from the outside in. And they're going to do it with a little bit of focus clarity because they may have picked up a little bit of knowledge about themselves now. And now they know what to do. They maybe know what was holding them back. They maybe know what is really going to push them forward. So for the collective energy, we really have to remind ourselves that the person who knows us the most is ourselves. And the person who can change our circumstances is us. We are the only ones who can truly change our circumstances. And we are the only ones who truly know ourselves the best. So, move forward this week, not with perfectionism and not with rigidity in mind. Move forward with passion in mind and learn to lean on your passions and maybe lean on your skill sets to help you invoke those passions and be a little bit more creative and stoke that fire that is naturally within you. Instead of focusing on perfection, focus on getting the damn thing done. Focus on how you're going to feel once you actually step into the zone and say, all right, let's just see where this takes us. Let's just see where this spark can be fanned into a flame. And I feel like this is so fitting even for myself because I do, of course, include myself in the collective. And I feel like this is so fitting even for myself because I have been sitting on a mountain of possibility and potential when it comes to moving forward as a tarot reader and offering new services and doing new things as a content creator. And it's like I'm sitting on all of this instead of actually putting it out there because I've been scared of failure. I've been scared of judgment. I've been discouraged. And I'm just like, you know what? No, I need to start listening to myself and doing it for myself. So that is where I will leave that. And that is your Tarot 101. Of course, this is just the beginning because tarot is a lifelong relationship. But hopefully this episode has helped you to see tarot less as something intimidating or out there and more as a mirror, a tool, and a conversation partner for your own soul. Of course, if you would like to go deeper, I will be doing the episode on Saturday at 11:11 a.m. CST, and I have also created a free Tarot 101 cheat sheet that you can download. The link will be in the description and the show notes, so go ahead and check that out because it can help you if you are wanting to practice right away. And if you would like to connect with me more, whether you're curious to learn how to read tarot yourself and you would like a little bit more guidance, or you're ready to book a full reading with me, follow me on Instagram and check the links in the show notes because I would love to hear your first deck stories too, so don't be shy. Until next time, remember, the cards are here to guide you, but you are the one holding the wand. Thank you for joining me for another enlightening episode of Elaborations with Skellington. I'll see you next time. Bye!